प्रहिणोति तस्मै तगुम्हदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in this last one, just some pauses. So it will be something like this. Yo Brahmanam vidadhati purvam Yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tagumhadevamatma buddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Something like that. Chant the first two verses. Om ityetadaksharidagum sarvam. Om ityetadaksharidagum sarvam. Om ityetadaksharamidagum sarvam. Om ityetadaksharamidagum sarvam. Tasya upavyakhyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yacchanyat trikalatītam tadapyomkara eva sarvam sarvagum hi etad brahma ayamatma brahma soyamatma chatushpat. Okay. So in the first, so it's interesting in this Upanishad, there are two main topics that are being presented. So one is Omkara, Om, and the other one is Brahman. So in that sense, Omkara is the name and Brahma is the vastu behind the name. So this is what the main focus of this Upanishad is. And so a name is to be given to something where the something has to be explained what that means, what the name represents. In other words, the name is just a dhvani, it's just a sound without an understanding of what the object behind that name is. Right? So, for example, take the word table. It was very possible that you have a 1-year-old who's just starting to gain some knowledge. So this is what happens, that when a person is born in a new life, a person is never born because the Atma is never born. but the manifestation of the Atma in a given form, it's kind of like, the water is never, it never expresses itself, but it can express itself as a wave. It's very possible. Yeah. So as a wave, it just shows something which looks like it is different from a water. But it never is different from the water, but it has some kind of a manifestation. So similarly, when the baby is born, there is a manifestation of the Atma. Now, what happens is that the baby is born, it is completely engulfed in ignorance. It doesn't know who the baby is, who is mother, who is whatever, and nothing. Slowly, it starts to hear sounds. And it starts to have some touch. The mother's, the touch of the mother's body. And then the milk. And so on and so forth. So slowly, one thing or the other, it starts to dispel its darkness. In that process, he hears sounds. And one of the sounds it might hear being talked about between the father and mother and other members of the family is the word table. Please bring the table. It's just hearing the sound. But it doesn't know what to make out of it. There's chairs, tables, walls, milk, toys. Like these are, it's whatever language it is using in. It hears those sounds. But then at some point in time, so in those sounds, it hears the word table. But it's not able to associate the word table with the object table. It doesn't know that yet. It has to be taught. So finally, the mother will say, "This is a table." So he says, "What? This is a table? What is a table?" Table, baby. This is table. See how this is? This is a table. So it might even think that this is just this table. If it goes to something else, it may think it is something else. So then the mother has to say that all these objects that are raised above the ground and are stable, requires 3 legs minimum, generally 4, and has a horizontal surface are called tables. So this meaning of the word table is grasped by this child, and from that point on, the word table and its object table are inseparable. They remain the same. One is the sound and the other one is the grasping of what is the meaning of the sound. This is how it happens. Similarly is the word Om. So for us in the beginning, the word Om is like the baby that hears the word table but doesn't understand what the object is. This is table. It's hearing it, so we also hear word Om. But we don't know what Om refers to. We all have our different conceptions of the word Om. Some of us feel that it's very nice to say that. For most of us, it is just a sound. So now the objective of this Upanishad is to explain the meaning of the word Om and what the vastu is that it is referring to. And just like a mother that has to explain what the word table means in terms of its full manifestation, definition, because a table is not a chair. A chair is a very peculiar vastu that has its own way. You cannot sit on a table. You should not sit on a table, but you can sit on a chair. So the word chair is very peculiar to what its function is. The table is peculiar to what its function is. So there is something which distinguishes a table from all others, and that is the word table. Similarly is the word Om. What does it refer to? So this has to be taught. So the Shruti, which is the ultimate mother, is teaching us what the meaning of the Om is. And from that, if it is understood and grasped in all of its details, then when you utter the word Om, then you, just like in the case of table, when you say table, is there a table in this room? You can instantly grasp, no, there is no table. Bring a table. We need a table. So you have a very good understanding of the object behind the word table. Similarly, once we understand the word Om, then we will understand what Om is. And so this is what the Upanishad is going to teach us. So there, so as you know, the word is called Abhidhana, and the vastu that the Abhidhana refers to is called Abhidheya. These are two technical words in Sanskrit that is used. So the Abhidheya for the word Om is Brahma. Now we have another issue. You know, first of all, we didn't know what Om is. And then you say, I'll explain what the object is for Om. It is Brahma. There's another thing that we don't know. We don't know what Brahma is, though we are not any wiser. That first of all, I didn't know what Om. Then you say, I'm going to explain to you what the object is. And says, oh, good. Explain. And say, this is Brahma. I don't know what Brahma is. So how much wiser am I? So the Shruti is going to be, the Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, is going to teach us both. It's going to teach us what Brahman is, so that you can understand Brahman is not something which is not known to us. It is not something which is not known to us, but we don't identify it very clearly. And so it will explain to us what Brahma is. And it will also explain to us why the word Om is an appropriate name for Brahman. There is a certain appropriateness of it. So, for example, you don't, when a child is born, the mother and father, of course, have a complete freedom of naming the child. And it's very funny how these things are compared to our time. In our time, there was no internet, there was no Google, in our parents' time and so on. So names were floating around in their minds based on mythology and so on and so forth. Fashion in my generation, the word Vijay was fashionable. So a lot of people nowadays, nobody calls their children Vijay. They have the. So nowadays it's very interesting because we go through our family members. I'm sure you do too. They make lists. So there's 10 most popular, and then they ask each other, then give us your top 4 or 5 names. And then sometimes the parents also don't agree. It's a process. But what I was thinking of is that none of the people will name, I hope, their child Mouse. Mouse Krishan Kapoor. Inappropriate. You're free to give them any names you like, but it is not appropriate. Chuha. So Chuha is the name, indeed name for mouse. So it's a Chuha. So the word Om also has to be appropriate to what the vastu is. And how the word Om is an appropriate name will be explained. Will be explained. So the appropriateness of the name, and then of course the inseparable connection between the name and the object will be given. And so Brahman is an interesting, is a very interesting thing, is that it is not unknown to us. And this is what the first two verses will start to unfold. Brahman will be unfolded as you. I am Atma Brahman. So in this thing, one thing should be seen. You don't have a desire to know something that you know fully well. You already know about this. Like if there is a lecture, we'll say, we are going to, please attend this seminar, and we're going to explain to you what the meaning of the word table is. You know, we're busy people. Is there something funny going on here? Why is there a seminar? So we will never have a desire to know the table once you know what a table is. Once you're about 18 months old, that's it. It's all done. Then the same time is, you don't have a desire to know that you don't know nothing about. No way. No way. Like, for example, that Swamiji's famous word, if we announce in our India West, we are starting a new class on Gagabugain. And it's very inexpensive. Registration is only $50 a year. And you will know all about Gagabugain. Well, actually, that'll be very interesting. They'll call and say, what is this Gagabugain? Why are you having a class on Gagabugain? But you know, it's interesting. If we have a notice which says we're going to start a class on self-knowledge, Atma Jnana. So very interesting thing happens. You don't say, actually some people do say it, that I know all about myself, and so I don't want to go to a class, just like table. And at the same time, I don't know nothing about myself, therefore I don't want to go. So what happens is, Brahman and Atma is something in the middle. We know a little bit about it, we don't know enough about it. This is, whenever we want to look at something new, if for us to be engaged in knowing something new, it must have the following characteristic. It must be known as well as unknown. Known and unknown, both of them. So this is what is called Samanya Jnanam and Vishesha Jnanam. Samanya means that it has some common things, but I don't know everything about myself. So similarly, if you look at our lives, we find that we know each other. We know ourselves. We know what, how old I am generally, and my gender, and my parentage, and I live with myself every day. And so I know a lot about myself. It's not as though I'm unknown. I know I'm alive, I think, and all of those kinds of things. But there are certain things about myself that I wonder about. It was interesting, I was just at a social gathering just 3 or 4 days ago. And as you know very well, I never talk about Vedanta to people in social gatherings and so on. But there was some talk around in the table. So one of the guys said, I wonder